You are watching and listening to Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Right, Chris.
Alrighty. Oh, look, you can't see me because there's a little German in front of me. There we go. We're going to wait for the little people. They'll be joining us later. Anyway, good evening, good after starts already. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day if you're still down in Australia. Goodbye, hello, welcome along wherever you are in the world. One of those will apply to you. This is LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for joining us live on YouTube. Tonight, we're going to be talking, as you can see, we've got a German as their head coach. Should the English manager always be English? If you've been listening to Mike Parry, he has been busting a gut over this. I once said the England manager should be English, shouldn't be Scottish ever. No, not. I'd support Wales if we ever appointed a Scottish manager. He shouldn't be Argentinian. He shouldn't be German. I mean, there's a few more I could mention, countries that I'm not particularly keen on. We've now got a German. Well, as I said in the, as it says on the promo for the YouTube channel, maybe we have ways of making you win. Who knows? Who knows? But to talk about it with us, I'm going to welcome him back in straight after this, and we'll say hello to Little Ant.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel now and make sure you never miss another upload. Leave a like now. Ring the bell and never miss another video.
Little Ant, welcome along.
Hello, good to be back on here.
It is. It's almost like you're out of YouTube jail.
It feels like it.
First of all, congratulations on your news.
Thank you.
And like I say, you're back up and your channel's back up and running.
It is, and it's going to be a bit of a struggle, I think, for the first sort of week or two to get back into the routine and rhythm of it. But it's nice just to be able to talk about Leicester and talk about football on here again.
It is. Well, I'll tell you what, I had a month off because I went on holiday and came back, and I am still, after a week and a half, trying to get used to pushing the right buttons and everything. So, but there we go. But look, it's happened. Never thought it would be. We have a German as head coach of England. Your thoughts on, first of all, the fact that it is a German?
To me, I'm not too bothered. I look at it as more of a fact we've got an elite manager in charge of England than where he's from. I know, and I could be unfair in saying this. I feel like it, and you're going to say I'm straight away beating you with a stick. I think it might be a bit more of a generations thing. I think the older generations seem a bit more sort of concerned with it, because a lot of the people who I've talked to are sort of my age and a bit like sort of 20s, maybe 30s, don't seem too concerned. But then I think a lot of the people that I have seen who are a bit more upset about it are the older people.
No, I take your point on that. I think it's a case of, with anything, that the more that the generation, like my son is completely different to my thoughts on certain things. It happens. That's all about developing as people. But my worry is, look, we know how stupid some football fans are. And I'm not just saying Leicester. I'm talking most clubs. Or well, I think every single club has its little batch of idiots, doesn't it? And, you know, not so long ago, we heard them singing war songs at an England game. Is that, how's he going to react if that happens? Because if things start going wrong, not the majority of fans, but, you know, and we'll come on to that, but you will have the minority that will start doing the anthems and the war gestures and what have you. How's he going to react to that?
I don't know, but I think you could make the same case for like we've had managers before who obviously not German managers before, but like we've had foreign managers before, and I think it's one of those things that, to start with, there's going to be so much positivity around Tuchel and the fact that he is an elite manager. I think people will just want to get behind him and give him a chance, because, as I wrote with Southgate, we were so close to winning silverware,
Yeah.
And he seemed like he was a really nice guy, but he just didn't have that tactical nous to get over the line. Tuchel's got a winning CV of everywhere he goes. So I think it only becomes an issue. And I'm not even sure if it will, even if it does turn sour. I think it only becomes an issue if it does turn sour.
Yes, yeah. We're going to say hi to Dan. Dan, you're alive. I thought you were ignoring me since I stopped paying the alimony. He says, Eek, a German head coach. I have reservations on it. Great coach, but is he honestly the answer to taking us to the next level? Personally, I don't think so. Only time will tell, won't it, on that? And I mean, I can remember Kevin Keegan coming out, funnily enough, having lost to Germany at Wembley, and admitting that he probably did not have that extra thing to get England to the next level. And obviously he stood down. Your thoughts on Southgate standing down?
I'm glad he did it. I don't want to say going out on a high, because losing a final is never going out on a high. But, like, you know, when something feels like he's run his race, we've seen he can't get us over the line.
Yes.
But what I will say about Southgate is he's put pride back in the national team, because for the longest time we were a laughing stock.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were going to say something else then. That's why I took a drink. I wasn't expecting you to stop then. Yeah, I mean, look, we've had many debates on between you and me about Southgate, haven't we? And we're going to have a look at all the ex-manager stats later in the show. But it is a godforsaken job, because unless you win something, you're going to be hated, aren't you?
Not necessarily, because you think of like 96. You think of some of the other Euros, like obviously Southgate's. I'd say Southgate, particularly now he's finished, I think he's very much appreciated. During his time here, I don't think during his time at as manager, maybe less so, but I think now he's loved. But again, you're obviously a bit older than me and have seen a lot more England than I have. I know it obviously went very sour under Hodgson, Capello, and even Sven. But before that, like Euro 96 and sort of that era, that's looked back on with fondness, isn't it?
It is. And Terry Venables, to be honest with you, he only had one tournament, Euro 96. It was at home. He got that whole national pride thing going. I just think it is one of those jobs where you can't win whatever you do. I mean, hopefully Southgate, look, he was moaned at, but it's what you don't. I think Southgate's one of those, when you say that you don't appreciate what you've got until you've lost it. And, he got us to 2 finals. He got us to a semi. He's probably, apart from Alf Ramsey, well, he's not probably, he is our most successful manager anyway. But I just think as England managers, I don't think you ever, unless you're going to come home and then win the World Cup, but then even if you don't qualify for the next tournament, you're going to be. I just think it's a godforsaken job, to be honest with you.
It is, but it's also, like the Man United job. I sort of compare it to that. But every manager feels like they're the one that can change the fate of, obviously, for United the club, or with England the team. And it's like that. I think that's half of what the appeal is for England. Because if we do win something, whoever it takes us over that line, I think they've got like national hero status, haven't they?
Yes. Oh, definitely. I mean, you win something, then you just step down and quit while you're ahead, don't you? But look, he is our 3rd foreign manager. One of those, I've got to say, and I'm not just saying this because obviously he was manager at Leicester as well, but Sven, and if you haven't watched it yet, please do watch that. I think it's Netflix, isn't it? Documentary, or Amazon Prime, about him. It's what a man he was, and it went reasonably well under him. Capello, not so. Different management styles. Do you think Tuchel's management style will suit this job?
It's hard to say, isn't it? Because club football and sorry, I'm going to unplug my charger because it's going mental. Club football and international football is two hugely different things, but I do think Tuchel's football style will suit international football a lot more than Southgate's, because I think Southgate, as much as we got through to finals and stuff, I never thought it was because of Southgate. I thought he brought that sort of togetherness and camaraderie, but I never thought it was his style of football. It always felt like, and I could be doing him a disservice here, but it always felt like it was individual players and individual qualities dragging us through at times. So we got to the final of the Euros just gone, but it was we would be talking in a massively different light if in the 97th minute, was it? Bellingham comes out with a bicycle kick out of nowhere. We'll be talking about a very different summer.
We would, but then if we wasn't for a Russian linesman, we'd be talking very differently about the 66 World Cup.
Yes, if buts and maybes, isn't it?
It always is. It always is. And can I just say, look, yourself and myself in this conversation, we've been very polite. We've tried to give it at a certain level. And then Dan comes in and completely takes the level down to the gutter. Well done, Dan. You can always rely on the Northerners, can't you? Is there something to be said? And obviously there's been a lot being mentioned and a lot of people being interviewed about it. Suddenly everybody's an expert on Thomas Tuchel. But I did hear something that, is it an advantage that he is a foreign coach? Because obviously as international footballers, as an international team, we are obviously playing foreign teams. Is it good that, when we meet Germany or something, that he's going to have that knowledge?
I don't know. I think football's almost moved past that because there's so much footage and there's so much sort of access to football all around the world. It's like even without managing in Germany, you can have like the elite level breakdowns of every team, probably in the German top 3 tiers, to be able to understand the German style of football. So I don't think so, to be honest. I do think maybe sort of 15, 20 years ago, that's something that might have been something that you could consider. But I do feel like football's almost moved past that. You know what I mean?
Also, as well, he knows the British game, doesn't he? He, as much as I would wanted an English manager to be in charge, and like you say, the question is who was out there, and we'll come on to that as an England manager. At the end of the day, you want the best manager. If we're going to have a foreign manager who was managed in the Premier League and understands the English football and understands the ins and outs of, because he'll have been obviously had conversations with Southgate and what have you when Southgate's wanted players. Again, do you think that's an advantage for him?
Right. It can't be a negative, I don't think. I don't know if it gives him a huge advantage, but I think it's something that can't be looked at as a negative. But it's not just he's managed in the English game. He's won the Champions League with an English club as well.
Yeah.
So he's done very well in England. So I think...
He also lost the FA Cup, of course.
Of course. I think that was the highlight, wasn't it, of that month?
It was. We'll let him have the Champions League. He gave us the FA Cup. And I have to say, he made sure that the Chelsea players stayed on the pitch while we were, because, of course, it was all COVID time. So, he did show a lot of respect to Leicester afterwards, in fairness to him.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry to interrupt. I don't know if that was a respect thing or if it was a psychology thing of making them watch us lift the trophy, because he's talked about sort of mindset and not wanting to be in that position again. So I think it was like, watch this, like taking this feeling, that's not going to be us again. Unfortunately for Chelsea, that was them the next 2 times they're at Wembley, but that's a different conversation.
But yeah, no, that's a very, very good point. But look, he is going to walk in, and one of the things you have, and I don't necessarily think that Lee Carsley had this, is the respect of the players. And I mean that in the fact of, you would look at Lee Carsley and go, who? I mean, I did that when he was being, touted, and he was the England under 21, blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, when you look at what this guy has won, I mean, it is. He's going to walk into that dressing room, been there, seen it, got the T-shirt.
He's going to do that. Also, a lot of those senior players will have played under him as well, so they will instantly know what he's all about. Obviously, Harry Kane was played under him last year. Obviously, he won nothing, but had a fantastic season in terms of goal scoring.
That was, I think, Harry Kane more than Bayern Munich, wasn't it?
You look across, you look for Chelsea players as well. They will have a fair few of them will have played under him, but it's one of those that his CV instantly demands respect.
Yes, 100%. I mean, I'm just trying to actually I'm struggling to read some of those things that he's won. Bundesliga, UEFA Super Cup, Club World Cup, Champions League. Then in France, he won Ligue 1, French Cup, French League Cup, French Super Cup, Ligue 1 again, French Super Cup, German Cup. I mean, again, he's done it in different countries.
Yeah, it's one of those, and it's like, I think we would be having a different conversation. Say and I know you're not his biggest fan, but just as a hypothetical, if you could compare Graham Potter to him, and Graham Potter had a CV like that, where everywhere he's gone, he's won trophies, he's got over the line, but there is no English manager out there that you can compare to Thomas Tuchel.
No, totally. I mean, they've interviewed 10 people. It said now, including English. Now I'm thinking Carsley is one of those.
Carsley's not English.
No, that is very true. He's Northern. Is he Northern Irish?
We're going to upset someone here, so should we Google it?
Yes, it's the. I was thinking British, but no, you're quite right in pulling me up on that one. Because he
Irish,
right. Okay, so he would have been interviewed. Wasn't one of the English. I'm guessing Potter was interviewed, and I'm guessing possibly Eddie Howe. I mean, on the English side, can you think of anybody else that would have probably been approached? Because I can't.
Maybe if they're going for the British approach, maybe Steve Cooper in the summer. I think that's just wishful thinking that he'd go, but conversation for a different day.
That's another show. Totally, that is another show.
But no, I struggle to think of anyone, which is very damning on sort of the state of British coaching.
It is, and look, like I say, as much as I want an English guy in there, I am very, very happy with Tuchel. I'm not, if you've got to go foreign, then I'm very, very happy with him. My thoughts were ABP, basically, anyone but Potter. I think it's quite funny that he's been turning down teams, including Leicester 3 times. Rumours are that he's waiting for the England job, and he didn't get it. What a shame.
It's because he knows the Leicester job will come available again soon. That's why he's holding out for the big one for the 4th time.
God, no, please. I'm sorry, I don't.
I know we're talking obviously England, but quick question. Do you reckon, when he did turn us down in the summer, do you think that was... Because there's 2 stories, isn't there, really? Do you reckon it was because of the expecting a points deduction, or do you think it's because he couldn't bring in his own director of football?
I think, and we'll never know 100%, will we? I think Top holds him in such high esteem that if he wanted to bring in his own director of football, Top would have found some way of making that happen. I mean, Top. We know Top wants him so much. He keeps offering him the job, so I think he would have. I think the points deduction was the big thing, and whatever we say about Steve Cooper, I think you've got to say at least he wanted to come. But like I say, that's another show for another day. But also, could we offer him what he's still being paid by Chelsea? I think is the other thing as well. His problem that he's going to have is, and maybe this was the problem with England, if you're out of the game too long, then, look at Alan Kirbishley.
Yeah. But on the flip side, you can say, because it's about the same amount of time Eddie Howe was out of the game, if you work on yourself and improve yourself as a manager in that time Like, it depends how you use that time, I think.
It is, totally.
But to be fair, in an interview, you're hardly going to say, I haven't really looked at football for the last 18 months. I've been getting pissed everywhere I go and sort of, I'm just living off my gardening leave, to be honest.
You're not, but I would actually do that. I wouldn't say it, but that was what I'd be doing.
That's what I'd do. What you do and what you say on an interview can be two very different things.
Totally. Do you reckon Klopp was interviewed?
No, because I think I have a gut feeling that he took that Red Bull job a long time ago. And
You're doing it again, aren't you? Will you please give longer answers if you see me holding a can up to me, God?
now, every time I see you going for a can, I'm just going to stop talking.
I know you do,
But,
you bastard.
You know, it is quite funny with Klopp, though, but he said, you know, in his exit interview at Liverpool, where he goes, I'm running out of energy, and now he's going to Red Bull.
Yes. Who else do you think was in the running then?
Would it surprise you, and I know he's not popular with Leicester fans, but would it surprise you if Brendan Rodgers was?
It probably wouldn't. And look, you've got to say, for any manager, you've got to look at their whole career, not just the fact of when they were at Leicester. And now that Brendan's moved on, yes, you know, obviously it's the in thing is to hate him, but he did a hell of a lot of good for the club.
He did massively.
You know? And unfortunately, you forget that, you know, sometimes. And, you know, 2 fifth-place finishes, and I know a lot of people said, we should have finished fourth. Oh, fucking hell, we'd have taken fifth at the start of it. Back-to-back Europeans and the FA Cup. So as
it's
much as
though, isn't it? It's like if you're what were we, second for a lot of the season, then third, and on the final day to drop out. But again, we've had this debate 1,000,001 times, so I'm not going to bore them with the same take 101 times.
It wouldn't have surprised me. Let me put it that way. You know,
here's one for you. I don't rate him particularly, but I know he's very much in with the FA. Russell Martin, do you reckon he would have been?
I think, knowing the FA, nothing would surprise me. But I think the fans would have just gone mad if he'd got the job.
Yeah. I don't even think it would have been like Southgate, where people were like, let's give him a chance. I think with Russell Martin, he's got that Brendan Rodgers arrogance without anything to back it up.
Yes. And I know with Brendan Rodgers, we say, well, it's only Celtic, blah, blah, blah. You've still got to win these things, you know. Mm-hmm. And I think Russell Martin, I think, you know, you look at him and go like, what? You know what I mean? It's like, you know, look where they are. And I just don't think... I think the Southampton fans would be happy because I think they might be glad to get rid of him. And actually, just as we are talking Southampton, let me just twix this back a little bit. Because there you go. Tomorrow night, 7:00, we're previewing Southampton Leicester, and we've got the Le God coming on, Matt Letitia, to talk all things Southampton, all things Leicester, and probably one or two things COVID and Sky Sports as well. That's tomorrow night at 7, though. Don't miss that, guys. But I think Russell Martin. I couldn't see how they could ever justify. I mean, with Southgate, he came in and obviously, I mean, he didn't want it originally, did he? You know, he said, "Look, I'll take it over until you get somebody," and he happened to do very, very well. And I think they've looked at Lee Carsley in the same way, and he just obviously hasn't had this. I mean, what he was doing against Greece the other night, God only knows.
It's one of those, though. I reckon Carsley's seen the pressure of that job, and I don't think he would have wanted it himself. And the thing is, I feel like we've ended up with the best options because I think we could have ended up in a really sort of a situation that's really underwhelming. This is the most optimistic I've felt about England for a long, long time.
I think the fact of the matter is that certainly nobody really knew Sven when he took over. Everybody knows, you know, Tuchel. I mean, you got to say, give Tuchel credit. I mean, all right, he was sacked by Chelsea, but he kept that club going, when Abramovich was hounded out, or not hounded out, was forced to leave. And I think he kept that club ticking over, and I think he was very unfortunate. But you could say that about a lot of Chelsea managers, couldn't you?
I think it's very, what you said about earlier, you don't know how, what you've got until it's gone. I think that with Chelsea, because you look at the managers they've been through trying to replace Tuchel to get back to, and now they're just trying to get back to the level they were, but they sacked him for because he wasn't competing for titles. It's like they've only regressed, and they've had some very good managers in that time, in my opinion. I think Pochettino's a very good manager.
Yeah.
I think, and I know we split opinions here, I think Graham Potter's a very good manager. And then Enzo Maresca, I mean, I'll take him back in a heartbeat over Steve Cooper.
I think the thing with the likes of Potter at Chelsea, I think with all these managers, it's all about being given time.
Yeah.
And, if you're given, you don't, they just haven't been given time. Talking of given time, though, Tuchel, he signed an 18-month contract.
Yeah.
That's quite short, isn't it?
But quite often, if a manager does okay in that period, he'll get an extension. So it's one of those, I think, in case it turns sour, then it's one of those, I think you shake hands and walk away at the end of it. But it could also just be like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's got clauses in it where it can extend if he achieves certain targets.
Oh, I think as well. I think, because obviously it takes us to pass the next World Cup. Mm-hmm. And I think, if we get knocked out at the group stage of the next World Cup, then it gives both sides the option of walking away. What I did like about Thomas Tuchel, when you're looking at his press conferences today, is you wouldn't know English was his second language. I mean, he's so fluent in it. He's got that personality. He seems comfortable in front of the press. He knows the press because he's been there with Chelsea manager. Something that Lee Carsley he didn't come across well with the press, did he?
He didn't, but then that's experience, isn't it? Because Thomas.
I say, no, you're going to do me.
Because Thomas Tuchel, because he's been in front of the press at Chelsea, he's been in front of the press at PSG, Dortmund. So again, 3 huge European clubs where he's used to being under the spotlight. I think for Lee Carsley, that was the first time he's ever had that amount of eyes on him. So,
sorry, I have to turn the camera off to get a drink.
Oh, you missed me being really petty.
I have. It's nice to have you back. Yeah, but that's half the job with the England manager, isn't it? I mean, if you go back to Terry Venables, he had that banter with the press, and it wins them over straight away. He was asked, was Thomas Tuchel, about singing the national anthem. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know. You probably didn't see it because you were at work, but they had Mike Parry on the telly this morning, and he was absolutely, as you know what Mike Parry's like, going mad. The fact that we dared to appoint a German to be England manager, he was epileptic. Epileptic, one of those anyway. And he was saying about Lee Carsley not singing the national anthem. I've got to be honest with you. I don't give a shit if they sing the national anthem or not.
Without getting too political, it's an anthem that I think is massively outdated as well.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those that you get into it like, oh, for fuck's sake. There we go. We are back.
Did you have a drink?
It's one of those that, like, I'm patriotic, I'm proud to be English, but I'm not. I'll always sing the national anthem, but I do think it's massively outdated anyway.
Yes, it is. I mean, but I'm saying about the words, that's a different story altogether. But I don't care if the manager. I mean, I don't know. I can't remember whether not Potter, you got me talking Potter now, whether Sven or Capello ever sang the national anthem. They probably didn't know the words. They just moved their mouth up and down.
To be fair, I couldn't care less if he doesn't sing the national anthem if he's holding a World Cup at the end of a tournament.
Exactly.
All that matters is what happens on the pitch to me.
Yes, yeah.
Everyone, I think again, similar to what you said at the start. I think similar theme of it only becomes a story if we're not winning.
Yes, I don't. Yeah, 100%. And look, he said there. This was in his interview earlier. What I like is he's getting these things out of the way. He's putting them to bed. He's making them a non-story. I'm sorry I have a German passport. Maybe the supporters felt that my passion for the Premier League and the country, how I love to work here, live here and work here. So he's making, he's literally saying, right, well, it's not a story because I've dealt with that. Let's get that out of the way. And he's got that experience, hasn't he?
Yeah, again, it's just he knows how to deal with the press, and particularly the English press. It's like they will look to make a story out of anything. And I feel like because he's German, he's going to we know what the media are like in this country. They're absolute vultures, and they will have a target on his back for any sort of slight slip up. So just don't give them any ammunition, just really. And it's sad that we have to talk like this.
Totally, but we know it will happen, don't we? And like I say, the majority of English fans won't be, but I can just see, certain salutes going on and things like that if things start to go wrong in the first game. I think it's disgusting. But if I ask you a question, I'm going to give you a bit of a test. It's just one question, so don't panic too much. You're a teacher, you should be used to tests.
I'm not the one doing the tests.
This is why I never do quizzes. I host them, but I never take part because I'm shit at them. On a win percentage-wise, you may know, no Googling now, put your phone down, but on a win percentage-wise, who has been England's most successful manager?
Sam Allardyce.
Sorry, I forgot about him.
Yes! I'm taking that win. Yeah.
He doesn't count.
Why not?
Count.
Not fair.
So I should have read the full question. I'll give you the full question now because you jumped in very early there. So the full question is, apart from Sam Allardyce, who was really a crazy England manager, was only there for one game, but apart from Sam Allardyce, on a win percentage, who's been England's most successful manager?
I'd guess Southgate.
Well, I thought that. I've got to say to you, in fairness. But Fabio Capello.
Is that all friend? I bet you that is massively increased by playing like friendlies against team that's part-time farmers.
Well, exactly. I mean, you've got to look at that and take it with a pinch of salt. I mean, I've just got that up, and that was, in fairness, off TNT. Capello, 42 wins. Southgate, in fairness to him, actually, I know a lot of people hated Southgate and were happy he went, but he didn't have those. Yeah, if he was playing San Marino, it was because it was in a tournament. We weren't playing these, teams just to let Harry Kane beat another goal-scoring record or something. But, look, I mean, Southgate's left us, and you said it earlier, with a lot of pride there in the fact that, we beat Germany in a competition game. We won a game on penalties in a World Cup and the Euros. So there's a lot of, things that ceilings that Southgate broke.
Yeah. I think it's now, he's, as you say, he's broken all of those ceilings. It's now, for Tuchel, he's here as that man to get us over the line. So it's like Southgate, if you look at the state of where he took over, if you remember the embarrassment of that Iceland game from Hodgson to where we are now, it's a hugely different feeling, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, I'm sat here, and despite everything I've said, like I say, about a German manager, I'm sat here feeling, I thought they were going to go for Carsley. I thought they were just going to take that option of, moving him up as they did with Southgate. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a good decision. It's a risky decision and it's a brave decision. But I think it's a good one. Is he the man, though, do you think, that can just take us over? I mean, all right, let me put it this way. Sorry. You've got Sven, and he had what was called at that point the golden generation. Some people are saying, right, this is the next golden generation. Is Tuchel the man that can deal with that?
Well, he's dealt with big egos and big big like personalities before. I always think the golden generation, like the phrase, I always think that's a bit of I don't want to say a myth, but
Yeah.
it also doesn't take into account that if you look at like the French team at that time had some of the all-time great players. Brazilian team did as well. It's like it just like it wasn't just us at that period that had a golden generation, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's just we seem to be the only one who's come out of that without a trophy.
Yes, and of course, if he was to win England a trophy, and again, I could be wrong here. I'm just going on what Mike Parry was saying earlier. He did say nobody has won the World Cup with a foreign manager. Now, I don't know if that's true or not.
I couldn't tell you.
I thought Brazil might have done, but no. I mean, I just hope he's, like you say, that the crowd give him time, and I think he is the man. And I'm happy. I'm happy with the decision. Not starting till January. He's obviously still on gardening leave, I think, technically with Bayern Munich. So we've got Carsley for another couple of games for yet another international break before Christmas. Wow, super Nations League. What can I say? Harry Kane said that he hadn't. Well, he said he hadn't spoken to Harry Kane. Harry Kane wouldn't commit until it was made known. But he had Harry Kane at, like you say, at Bayern. Is he going to come in with a big broom? Do you think, or is he going to pretty much go with and just build on what he's got, or is he going to sort of say, right, well, let's just take it from scratch and start again? This is my team now.
I think it's a bit of a balancing act because I don't think you can completely go from scratch because we've got quite a young team as it is anyway. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if you start to see some of the old heads like Kyle Walker phased out and those sort of players. But I think we're in a very good position in terms of having a young squad. So I feel like he would be a bit silly to do that, if I'm honest.
And I didn't really follow him in his different managerial jobs. Is he very much a round pegging, round hole sort of guy?
I think to an extent he's plays a five at the back, and I think he's very much got his set ways. But it's hard to know because when you're at Chelsea, if you need something, you get brought it. So
yes.
It's hard to know what he would do if he hasn't got that solution. And I think I didn't follow him, if I'm honest, at Dortmund, but PSG is very much the same, isn't it? If you need something, you're going to get it brought for you.
Yeah. Oh no, totally. And I think there's a very thin line between being called stubborn or sticking to what you believe. And if he has a certain like say five at the back, if that's his way, then just do it and stick to it and pick the players that will fit into his system rather than pick necessarily the best players and just try and fit them in somewhere.
Yeah, 100%. And that's where I think we've just got to go down the route of almost forget the big names. Who is playing well? Who fits the system? I think it's got to be form and who fits what Tuchel's trying to do. I don't care if you play for Brentford, Southampton, whoever it is. If you're the best option, you should be in that team.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I wouldn't even listen to anything he said on that. So I remember when Southgate got the job, it was all a case of I don't care who you're playing for. You're looking at that fly again, aren't you? You won't care who the hell you're playing for, I'm going to pick you. And it lasted about 6 months, I think his promises lasted less time than Keir Starmer's. But there we go. But that's it. We've got him. Let's get behind him. Like we say, I'm overall, I'm happy when you look at, what else is out there. I mean, I think the British, if you're looking at the British contingent, I think Eddie Howe was the obvious one. But what has he won? Look, when you look at Tuchel, it's a no contest, isn't it? But very, very quickly, because this isn't an England one, but I can't let you go without just asking you. You're not enamoured with Steve Cooper, are you?
No, not really. But again, I think I want to see where we are after the next 3 games, because I think I think that's the real defining factor. You know, Southampton, Forest, Ipswich, teams there or thereabouts with us. I'm sure we're going to come back to this conversation in a few weeks.
Oh, indeed, I believe we may well do. We may well slip it in at some point. And do you think that? I mean, I said I expect nothing less than 9 points from the next 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're very winnable games. I think if Steve Cooper takes us to Southampton on at the weekend and we don't get 3 points, I think there's got to be questions asked.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think this, you know, there's always going to be the comparison of your old manager. Like, it's going to happen at any football club when a manager comes in and someone else replaces him. But this is the first time I think you've got a genuine, fair comparison to where we were last year. Enzo Maresca tactically pulled Russell Martin's pants down twice. Now, will Steve Cooper be able to do the same?
It's going to be interesting. And I've got to say, because I've been away for a month, so I've not been watching the game, so can't really say much about the last ones. But I mean, all right, we got the 3 points. I think we got away with one, thanks to the post and what have you. But yeah, I was quite happy with Steve Cooper when I started. And let's be honest with you, I think my worry is because when I look at the games that we started with, so all right, Fulham. We should have got something from Fulham on paper. We didn't. But when you look at sort of the other teams we were playing, I think we should have more points on the board than we should have now.
Yeah, well, we went 2-0 up at Palace. I don't care sort of what he moans about with referees and that. If you're 2-0 up, you see it out.
Yes, definitely.
I think Everton, we set up not to lose instead of to go and win.
Sometimes the best form of defence is attack.
Yeah, and I think you can't. I think there's a balance with it, and I think he's massively on the cautious side. I think we need to be a bit more ambitious, but again, I'm willing to give the next 3 games, and then I'm firmly on the fence at the moment. And I'm hoping he wins the next 3, and we're sat here sort of all behind Steve Cooper at Christmas, thinking, "Oh, he's the man." But at the moment, I'm thinking more cautious Cooper than anything else.
We all want him to win, of course we do, for the club's sake. Last question before I let you go. Ricardo in or out?
In, 100%.
Yeah. That's not helping his case, is it? And it's been brilliant to talk to you again. Welcome back and say congratulations on your new position. Again, you're back with your channel. Tell everybody where they can find you.
So Ant's Leicester fan channel, so home and away. Ant's Leicester fan channel, home and away match day vlogs, live streams, previews, all of that kind of good stuff. I'm being really petty as well, as you can probably tell.
I would expect nothing less of you. You
set the standard on the floor. Anything above that is great.
Yeah, you set yourself very low standards and very often fail to come up to them. But then again, that might be a height issue. I don't know. And hey, boom, had to get one in. Thanks very much for joining me, Ant. Let's see how it goes, both with Leicester and England. I'm sure we will come back to these arguments. Oops, and he's gone again.
Oh, I need to get a new light, but absolute pleasure.
Well, I've always said you're in the dark, but no, there he is.
Hey! And let there be light.
Yeah. On that note, thanks very much, mate. Thanks everybody in the chat. The link for Ant will be in the description below. Thank you very much, and we'll do this again soon. Take care, buddy.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.